All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is Coaching Collective call number five. Number five. This is going to be a coach's case study call, I guess. We'll figure out how to do this a little bit better by the next time we do this, but we have three different client case studies to go over. I'm gonna kind of read them. I'm kind of what I want to do this is like read them live and then kind of just like record and like talk through like my thought process as it's like coming up, and then we can bounce ideas off because yeah, Brooke, John, and Jess are here, so I'll kind of like bounce things off of you guys for your clients when they're coming up, and we'll just kind of like try to solve the case. Cool. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and then we'll just kind of get into the Facebook group. And oh my god, hang on. Okay, there we go. Cool. So here we go. So I will start with, okay, Brooke. So we'll start with Brooke's client here. So Brooke, oh, wait a minute. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's the written context. So we have, let me remove this. So we have a female who weighs 227 pounds and is 5'7". So she's pretty overweight. Yeah, Brooke?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's pretty overweight. Current protocol 150, 260. It's a good amount of food. Training 3 to 4 days a week, not doing any cardio. Good step goal. I like the 10K step goal pretty much for all clients. I think that's just good to get people outside and moving. Wants to lose 20 to 30 pounds. So she wants to be like under 200.
Yeah. And her biggest focus is like she's really just like she just wants to be healthy. She knows that she's not healthy. And she like is one of those clients that she really does. Like we look at our client's food log through my fitness pal. So like I can see what food she's actually eating. And she really is a client that eats relatively healthy. Like she doesn't have like a lot of artificial sweeteners. She doesn't like she eats a lot of like whole healthy food. So like her frustration is she feels like she's at a point where like she doesn't know what else she could be doing because like we've kind of like I've explained to her about like she underate for a while, and then like
Yeah.
I'll let you read more and then I'll go into details.
Okay. Yeah, let me keep reading. So been with it almost 3 months. Okay, so how old is she, Brooke?
She's 37 or 38.
Okay, so here's the thing. First and foremost, guys, when somebody's older, it's already going to be harder for progress to happen, right? Their bodies are less responsive the older they are. They can't handle food as much. They're more sensitive to a lot of things. You know, we got to watch blood pressure more. But also, here's the thing: is if you spent 37 years of your lives overweight, you are not going to reverse much of it in 3 months. So I think that's always like if we did that comparison of 37 years versus 3 months, I think that's really important to articulate to clients because a lot of people are like impatient for progress. It's like, dude, you've spent almost 4 decades unhealthy and you want me to get it done in a quarter of a year? Like, that's not realistic. So just want to throw that out there. She's a little bit older and she has a lot of time working against her here that needs to be reversed. So, started her off by putting her around maintenance 150, 240, and 60, losing about a pound per week for about 4 weeks. Cool. Plateau. Oh, started gaining. That's interesting. Dropped food, continued to gain. So it looks like, okay, so just so I articulate this, you started at 150, 240, and 60. She lost about 4 pounds and then started gaining weight on the same macros.
Yes, like then she started gaining weight. So I was like, okay, cool. Maybe we're like out of surplus. Like let's just drop. We have room to drop her food. Like she's a little bit heavier, so let's drop her food, see what happens. Dropped her food, and then she continued to gain weight. Like 3 weeks out, like for 3 weeks, her weight like continued to climb. And I was just like, okay, like this is just interesting. Like I wasn't expecting. I figured drop food and your weight would start to drop. Like so that like was a red flag for me. Like and again, like exactly like you said, we have like 37 years of dieting history working against us. So that was like red flag. Like we should probably get blood work done just because like I have no idea like what we're working with, and like, have you got blood work done before? She had, but the doctor didn't really say anything much about it. Like her cholesterol was high, and that's pretty much all. Like they're like, oh, your cholesterol is high, you're fine. So then like I got on a call with her, and she had, then you can finish it and then I'll like
Brooke's a talker, guys. Brooke's a talker. Okay, so
yeah, so I'll let you read through.
you hopped on a call, deep dove, been on birth control since she was, or put on birth control at 15 and was on it until almost 30 when she had her first kid. So she is on birth control for 50% of her entire life. That's red flags across the board, guys. Put on the pill for painful periods and acne. This is like my number one grief with doctors, is looking at symptoms that clearly show estrogen dominance and just going, let's just throw you on birth control to regulate your hormones. I'm sure a lot of you guys have felt the same or have had that happen to you when you were younger and stuff. Like that's like the thing. I've got acne, I want to get on birth control so it clears up. Like, no. Well, I mean, yes, but then you deal with shit like this later on in your life and it's not worth it. So finally off of it after having kids, weight has only continued to be an issue, is feeling defeated. So now we've got the mental aspect of things where stress is high, which doesn't help at all. We got labs done. Just want to make sure I got a second eye on labs. I'm feeling need to read lab work. TSA outside of range, cholesterol high, test low, D3 low. Okay, so I'm going to get into blood work here. I'm going to look at everything. So out the gate, guys, and if any of you guys see something off that I miss, please say it. This is a coaching collective, right? Oh, I didn't disclose. Everybody watching, this is not Bible. I am not telling you that this is right and this is the only way to do things. This is simply my interpretation of the data. Got to disclose. So testosterone, I don't know about you guys. Testosterone seems a little low, a little bit low, negative or less than 3. So if you guys actually remember coaching call number 1, Katie's testosterone was less than 3 as well. Do you guys remember that call? I'm sure. I'm assuming everybody's watched all the replays and stuff. So testosterone is pretty darn low here. Moving on. Is the same picture. Okay, so progesterone is basically tanked, and the longer progesterone stays down, the harder it's going to be for us to recover it. Now, I don't know if she wants more kids or not, but if you've already had kids, like it's one of those things where I'll just like ask someone, I'll be like, do you want to have kids anymore? If not, progesterone's not as much of like an urgent issue, but obviously we still want to get it back on, so I like my protocol would be the same anyways, because I want to see bloods normal. I personally like to see progesterone at like 10. I don't really like to see it much lower. I like between 10 and 22. But 10 is like my sweet spot for majority of people. So that's low. Okay. DHEA is actually pretty damn low. It's on like the very, very low end of the spectrum. So if you guys remember, DHEA, I like it to be like middle of the pack. I think middle of the pack is the best place for DHEA to be in. Cortisol is actually pretty solid. And then, yeah, you were right on her TSH. It's definitely not amazing. I love 0.5 to 1. I would write that down for everybody. Like that to me for the TSH range, 0.5 to 1, I deem as like optimal. Everything's functioning perfectly. That's exactly what we need to be seeing. I'll say I'm not really worried until it's like 3 and above. Okay. Because again, remember, the older that we are, the less things function as optimal. You know what I mean? Like things do start to lose their umph with how they do. So I do think her thyroid could be supported here. I think it is a little bit more overactive than I would like it to be, but it's not something where I'm going, this is why she's not making progress.
Okay.
Right. Now going into estradiol, pretty low. But if you guys remember, can you guys see my calculator? You can't, huh? How do I share that? Okay. Now can you see my calculator? Cool. So if we go through the estrogen dominant ratio or the formula, right? So we take progesterone. What was her progesterone? It was like 0.2, 0.28.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was 0.28. Oh, hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to make sure I'm doing this accurately.
For 0.9.
So got so many freaking pictures.
I know, but
Sorry,
I don't know if it's easier to email those to you than post them in Facebook. I didn't. I was like, I don't know about that one.
Okay. So progesterone was 0.9. So we're going to take progesterone and we're going to times it by 1,000. So 0.9 times 1,000. This is my estrogen dominant formula to see how estrogen dominant we are. So we get 900. And what we do from here is we divide that number by estradiol. So her estradiol is 14.3. Now, typically, we want this number to fall anywhere between 100 and 200. So when we do this calculation, we want the number to be anywhere between 100 and 200. I have seen people in the 70s to 80s be completely normal, but rule of thumb, the closer that number is to 1, the more estrogen dominant the person is. So she's sitting here roughly at a 62. Okay, so that's outside the scope of what I usually see as normal, or like functioning normal, where I don't see like negatives to it. So I would also probably, I mean, like we said, progesterone's low, so we want to support that thing coming back on. But DHEA also converts into estradiol and testosterone. So if DHEA is low, it's not uncommon to see testosterone and estrogen low as well. Okay, so we kind of can see that. You guys kind of see the picture starting to form here of like everything kind of like branching off of each other, everything kind of like adding into each other, like it all kind of starts flowing together a little bit. Now, I think that's it on her labs, actually. So test is super low, progesterone is super low, estradiol is also low, DHEA is also low, and then thyroid's not amazing. Was that everything? Is that what you noted, Brooke? Test low?
Yeah, I may have accidentally uploaded the same one twice, but there was the vitamin, her vitamin D was on the lower end of the spectrum, like it was on like the lower percentile. So that was the only other thing.
Okay, is she supplementing with vitamin D right now?
No, she's not. Obviously, I'm gonna tell her to, but
yeah. So so with this protocol here, you guys, and I actually think, John, I think I read that your person lost a lot and you were wondering about like reverse dieting them back up. Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of gonna correlate. Yours is John, yours is a completely different ballpark though, but it's kind of the same thing here with this. I think, one, she's not training a ton, but like we've talked about before, I rarely see progesterone be able to recover. And I would even argue testosterone. When hormones are this downregulated, very rarely do I see them recover when we're still training multiple times a week. I'm honestly more oftentimes than not going to put somebody down to like 2 training days a week, probably 3 to 4 reps in reserve. Like it's stimulation, not annihilation at all. You know, stimulation I say stimulation for preservation, not for annihilation. Like that's kind of my thing there. We're just trying to maintain. And then so right out the gate, I'm gonna focus on thyroid, I'm gonna focus on progesterone, and I'm gonna focus on DHEA. Those are going to be my thing. Because if progesterone is downregulated, it's not uncommon for the thyroid to be overactive to try to compensate for it. So the progesterone and thyroid can have a bit of a correlation there, which is pretty interesting. But so what I would do, I pretty much use New Ethics supplements for everything when it comes to hormones. Jason is somebody who I've been lucky enough to have a mentor for a long time. I really trust everything he does and puts into there. He just really wants to help people. You guys can use code NK. But I would probably start her off with I don't know if she's on Thyro Boost or not.
She's not, but I was going to recommend it.
Cool. Yeah. So I would have her do Thyro Boost. I don't think she needs to like double the dose or anything because it's not crazy. And I think us focusing on thyroid and progesterone at the same time will help the thyroid more.
Okay.
Okay. So I would probably start her with 1 Thyro Boost a day. Honest to God, I think you need to reverse diet her up.
Okay.
You know, because I actually have a male athlete. He's like 270 and he started with me at like 280, but he was not eating a lot. Right now we have, I want to say we have this dude at like 300 protein, 425 carb, and like 80 fat, and his weight's the same. You know, and like now he's in a really good spot for us to be able to pull food down and have a fat loss phase.
Okay.
You know, so I honest to God think that she does need to reverse diet up here for I don't want to give a time frame because I'm more of like what's the body doing, but I would say at least 3 to 4 months
Okay.
of just higher food. And it doesn't need to be, I think, really good nugget for you guys as coaches. I think when it comes to reverse dieting, everybody just focuses on like how high can I get food? You know, like when you hear people like, oh, it's time to reverse diet, a lot of people are like, oh, I just don't want to put on all that body fat. Like that's not our goal here. Reverse dieting is getting calories to a higher position. I honestly doubt she's going to put on more body fat. I would say if anything, she actually ends up dropping body fat because she's eating better. We're going to support hormones coming back online more. Then when she's recovered there, she can train harder, more effectively. She's going to sleep better, you know, everything in between that comes with fueling the systems properly. So I would do Thyro Boost. I would do Chaseberry. I'm a big Chaseberry guy for progesterone. I would probably hit her pretty hard with the progesterone support just because you guys, we can assume this has been down regulated for like a really long time. I mean, I'm glad she had a kid. I'm really glad. Like that's pretty awesome. But I'm gonna assume it's been down regulated for a long time. So I'm probably gonna do like 3 milliliters right before bed.
Okay.
I'm gonna do 3 milliliters right before bed. On top of that, what was the other one? Oh, she could supplement with DHEA to get those DHEA levels back on. It wasn't super down regulated, so I wouldn't like jam pack it with 100 mgs. So for everybody, when I'm looking at DHEA low, like this is my own personal preference. I'm a fan of jump starting it and getting it higher than we need it as fast as possible. Because more oftentimes than not, it just needs a little bit of like a jump start to come back online. So if somebody's really down regulated, and we saw this in call 1 with Katie's labs, where I had her supplement, I think with 100 mgs, and then her DHEA was like 150 over the range. And I was like, okay, cool, pull it. You know, just pull it. And then usually it's going to so if DHEA is down and we upregulate it super high and then we pull it, usually it's going to end up just kind of like hovering right back in that middle range 9 times out of 10. It's not going to happen every time, but 9 times out of 10 we're going to see that happen, and then things are going to start stabilizing from there. So Brooke, I would do vitamin D. I like higher vitamin D. I usually go 10,000 IUs a day, and as long as calcium levels in the blood aren't getting like super, super high, or potassium levels aren't getting super, super high, I don't see an issue with it. I don't care if vitamin D is higher in the blood work. I really don't care. I don't think we can get enough vitamin D. That's my own personal preference.
You
But
have a specific vitamin D brand,
no,
that
whatever's cheaper on Amazon, honestly,
Okay.
when it comes to like basic supplements like that for your clients, dudes, I say literally go on Amazon, find the cheapest one.
Okay.
It's all the same shit. So yeah, I would do 10,000 IUs vitamin D to start. She's probably going to feel great, to be honest.
Okay.
A lot of serotonin production and natural energy production from vitamin D. The Thyro Boost, the Chaseberry, and then the DHEA. That would be my place to start. And then I would pull her back to training 2 days a week, focusing on, not training hard. And then honest to God, I would start reversing her. I would see how high you can get protein first based off digestion.
Okay. I did actually just up her protein. I
Cool.
gave you the wrong thing. I've upped it to 170, but literally just as of last week. So haven't got a whole lot of
Yeah.
feedback
So
on that yet. So.
next week's call, you guys, is deep dive. I'm calling it macroscope on macros. And we have a whole deep dive on protein, and then it'll be a deep dive on carbs and everything. But one of the things that I'm going to share in the protein one is Dr. Bill Campbell. I don't know if you guys know who Bill Campbell is. He is basically a scientist, and he operates out of the University of Florida, and he basically just studies like body composition, protein. And he did this study with people or with women, and he ended up doing, I think it was like 2.4 grams of protein per kilogram, or so it was like a really high amount of protein, and made that protein, put them in a 300 calorie surplus from the protein, and the subjects all lost body fat still while in a surplus just from the protein being higher. So with that notion, and I've always been like this, but that even just reinforces it further. I like to get protein as high as we can from a digestive standpoint. So if she can handle 200 grams, throw on 200 grams.
Okay.
And then from there, I'd start bumping up carbs and fats and, things like that. Because like all of her like metabolic panel and stuff was fine. So like, I wouldn't worry about like keeping protein low to lower liver activity or detox or anything like that. So I'd bump protein up, and then I'd bump carbs and fats up accordingly to her until you find a sweet spot.
Okay.
And then I would run that for probably 6 weeks and then get labs done again. And then you can bring them back on the next call, and we can reassess those labs, and we can see what improved.
Okay. Yeah, no, that'd be perfect. Awesome.
Cool. Any questions?
There was just one, the one page, did I post the page that had her cholesterol on it? I don't think I did.
No, I don't think I saw it. Let me double check. Go ahead. What was it?
Her cholesterol was also high. That was another thing that I noticed. I don't know if that changes anything or not.
No, not really. So there's a lot of reasons. I would say dietary, but you said her diet's pretty good. A really easy supplement to help with cholesterol that's like just an herb supplement is citrus bergamot.
Okay.
It's super simple. I'm not going to say it's going to work, 10 times out of 10, but it works more often times than not, in my opinion. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Brooke. Mr. John, let's go to John's spot. I'm actually really excited about this one because I feel like this is one that a lot of people, I feel like not to this extent of weight loss, but I think a lot of you guys are going to have weight loss clients that need to lose a lot of weight. So this is going to be a really good one. So we have a male who's 34. Okay. Brooke, wasn't your girl 34? Or she's 37? 37. So he's 34. Weighs 275. So John, is he still pretty overweight? You say he's lost 100 pounds, but
he was. So when we started, so his biggest, like the heaviest he was 376. But when we started, he was like 340. And then that was back in February. So now we're at 270.
Okay, cool. First of all, amazing fucking job. Amazing job. Okay, so goal, drop BMI out of the obesity range. I love that. I love when clients just want to get freaking healthier, dude. It's so cool. It's so cool to help somebody take their life back. So really not doing a lot of cardio and still dropping that much weight. That's pretty cool. So he's eating 240 protein, 180 carb, and 60 fat. He trains hard. Already went through a reverse diet process at the beginning of the year for a few months. We've been steadily dropping carbs for 6 months now. We're down to 270 from 336 since February. Dude, that's fucking awesome, John. That's awesome. You're literally like changing this dude's life. That's 70 pounds. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely cool.
Yeah. Okay. So his weight stalled for the last month or so. Is there a point with an obese client where we revert back to a reverse diet once progress is stalled, or are there options to take from here? First client over 100 pounds. Congratulations. So short answer here, yes. There are points where we just have to look at weight loss as any sort of diet, right? Because it's like easier to lose that when you look at it, when you're like, oh, you still have a ton of weight to lose, right? So like, let's just use John as an example. John and I work together. If I have John dieting from February to now, there would be no question, right? That like, dude, okay, we got to stop dieting for a little bit. We got to give the body a rest. We got to upregulate. We got to let you kind of feel back alive again, and then we'll hit it. I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure everybody here follows me. So if you guys know, I actually have a client, not as much of a weight loss here, but I have a client, Lauren, who is on prep right now, and she's been prepping since February. And she had a lot of weight to lose for her size. She's down about 45 pounds. And here's the thing, dude, is like her progress from fat loss has stalled a lot because she, honest to God, needs to like reverse diet and diet break for probably like 6 to 8 weeks, in my opinion, before we're going to be able to start seeing progress again. Now, we only have like 2 weeks before her show, so we're trying to do what we can. But if I didn't have a time crunch, or she wasn't so stubborn to have a time crunch, we would definitely be doing that. So I think it's especially important for obese, like heavier people, because more oftentimes than not, dude, and keep in mind, this guy's older, right? So hormones are going to downregulate even faster. Metabolic function is going to downregulate even faster. And I would say if you wanted to keep dieting for elongated periods of time, doing like 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off would allow you to elongate a fat loss process like a substantial amount. So if you guys have somebody on a really big weight loss journey or fat loss journey, a good place to start, especially if we don't have a time limit, right? If there's no time limit, 4 to 6 weeks on of dieting and then 2 weeks diet breaking every 4 to 6 weeks. I have found, and I want to say that this was a study somewhere specifically for diet breaks that I read, and that's why I do this. But when I'm doing the diet break, I'm pushing their calories back to maintenance purely from carbs. So if I've downregulated fats at all when they're dieting, I'm not really touching their fats. I'm just bumping carbs up. If they're on 1,400 calories and their maintenance is 1,900 calories, they're usually getting 500 calories worth of carbs from me. Yeah, unless fats are like 30, 20 range. Usually that doesn't happen though. So what I would honestly do here, dude, because like for where his food's at, like it's really not that low, and like he's really not doing a ton of cardio. Have you guys exhausted cardio or no?
No, I mean he does cardio on his own sometimes. I just have him do 20 minutes because like I train him in person as well. So we do cardio like at least twice a week when he comes with me. So like the list sessions are separate from that. But he doesn't really do much cardio because he was literally dropping like 3-4 pounds a week, and his carbs are like 300. That's why they're so low now, because it was after a certain time. I think it was like maybe a month ago is when his weight kind of stalled. So I was like, so that's when we started cutting food down a little bit.
What does this guy do for work? Oh, he's an HVAC sales rep right there. So he's stagnant.
He was stagnant, but now it's like a warehouse. So he says he'll like take laps around. So like now his steps are like 12.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But when it comes to like that, like, dude, I would have probably like, so here's what I would do. Here's what I would do, just like shooting it off, because like this is an experiment. It's an experiment for you. It's an experiment for me. We don't know how his body's going to respond. I would take the data of like, dude, when we were doing cardio and upping his output, he was dropping so fast while eating so much more food. I would probably reverse him back up for, I don't know, 8 weeks or so, just because he's been dieting for so long. You know what I mean? So like if we like broaden the spectrum that I said, like every 6 weeks, take 2 weeks off. So let's look at it at a larger scope. If you did 6 months, then maybe we take 2 months off, right? So it kind of, that same ratio is still there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So okay. So when you say 2 weeks off, it's still like a structured 2 weeks. It's not kind of like,
yeah, no, you're not just, you don't get to go get freaking In-N-Out Whataburger every day just because you're on a diet break. No. It's structured because again, it's still part of the fat loss process. I wouldn't have an issue throwing a free meal in, each of those weeks if they're not an asshole. But yeah, I'm always structuring it. So I would realistically do kind of same approach I told Brooke. I would see how high we can get protein with digestion taken away from it. I mean, dude, honestly, this dude could probably get away. Like, if you can eat 300 protein, this guy can eat 300 protein. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that right there would probably change his body comp a ton. But I would try to get him back to like the 300 carb range where you had him. So, maybe a good goal would be 300 protein, 300 carbs, 60 fat. I honestly think that that's like an impeccable range of food for a male his size.
You said 360 or was
Yeah,
was
yeah. I would probably try to reverse him back to there over the next like 8 weeks. And then probably I like to hold the top, right? That's like my own thing. I like to hold the top. When I get somebody reversed calorie wise to a good spot, I like to hold it there for like another couple of weeks. I like to kind of establish homeostasis at that higher intake. So that kind of turns into the body's like new normal, right? Does that make sense to everybody? We're just kind of like keeping that the consistent spot for a bit. And then, so what I would do is I would get him there. I guarantee you he'll still lean out because that's not a ton of food, right? It's not a ton of calories. It's like 2,700 calories, give or take. I'm terrible at math off the top of my head. 4, 8, 12, 2,400 from the protein and carbs. 9 times 6 is 540. Yeah. Yeah, it's right around there. So I would do that. And then from there, I would probably just start him off with cardio. Like, start at the 420 and then bump them to like 525. And then, I usually, if I can get away with somebody going up to like 30, 40 minutes of cardio and they're dropping and I don't have to move their food, I would so much rather do that. I would so much rather do that because they're going to be well fed the whole time. You're usually going to see less. And again, this is, guys, I'm only going to use this for like a weight fat loss approach. I'm not going to use this for like competition prep where I need to get somebody there peeled.
See you guys.
Big difference.
You too.
What? Oh, is somebody asking something? No? Okay. What did I say? Oh, yeah. If I can get somebody eating that much food and doing like 30, 40 minutes of cardio, they're going to feel so well fed. We're going to see less down regulation from like metabolic function, hormones. Their sleep is still going to be great. They're going to have great recovery. Their workouts are going to be amazing. And I find more oftentimes than not, they just feel so much better and more athletic because it's like we're fueling good workouts and they're also adding cardio regimen on top of that. Like, if you think back to when you were like in high school and you were running track or you were doing football or anything in between, like, you would work out in the weight room, you'd go run, and you would just eat whatever the fuck you wanted, and you felt amazing, right? It's not going to be the same scope because he's 34, but that's kind of like the plane I like to play in for that type of stuff. And then if progress starts stalling and he's still got some body fat to lose, dude, we've got 300 carbs that we can fuck around with now. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the approach I would try. So I think you reverse diet them up. I think you can probably, the cardio is probably fine where it's at. That's like not invasive at all to the point where it's like, we need to pull off that. But yeah, I would reverse diet them up for like 8 weeks, dude. I'd hang them there for like 2. And then I would start the cardio protocol and just kind of see what happens. And I would love to revisit this at that time and kind of see how he responds in one of the future case study calls. I'd be super interested to see how he feels with more food.
Awesome. He wants to do summer shredding, so I wanted
nice,
to get
dude. Then that, honestly, if that lines up, that lines up perfect, in my opinion. If you were to start reverse dieting now through the end of the year, then, start like prep in February. He's got February, March, April, May, and that's 5 months, dude. For the weight loss journey. Like that'd be a perfect time frame.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Awesome.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you.
All right, Jess Witt, where you at? Let me find your face. There she is. Okay, digestive case study. Okay, this will be fun. I like to pride myself on my gut knowledge. So now I'm feeling a little nervous already. What if I mess it up? So we have a female who's 23, so she's younger, 140 pounds, 5'4", pretty solid body composition. Yeah, it's pretty good body composition. So, I got to be honest, you guys, you're going to probably run into digestive issues. Whatever this is, I guarantee you guys are going to run into it a ton on your coaching journey. Everybody's digestion's fucked up. Everybody. So here we go. Client is experiencing bloating with nearly everything she eats. Okay. She has only 5 to 6 foods that she can eat without discomfort, and her quality of life is suffering greatly. So just so I understand, she only eats 5 to 6 foods, but she still is experiencing the gastric distress.
Yeah, so she eats like the same 5 to 6 foods a day, and they don't cause terrible bloating. They're like her best options, if that makes sense.
So she basically doesn't have anything she can eat or drink that doesn't cause some sort of inflammatory response.
No, literally every check-in is just like bloating, no matter what. And like these are the foods that she's chosen that cause the least amount of issues, but pretty much everything. And then of course she's in school, so when she goes out to eat with friends and things like that, it's like that just causes a huge blow up of digestive issues. And then it just kind of trickles throughout the rest of the week. So I don't know if these foods are just kind of like causing her issues because she's going out and eating foods that cause issues and then eating these afterwards, or if it's like actually these foods. But she does have 5 or 6 that she consistently eats that are like okay.
Let's keep going. She's a very high stress individual. That's probably stress is one of the number one things I look at for gut issues. So minimizing stress during eating windows is something we've been working on. I mean, dude, I would say like if somebody's a high stress individual, it doesn't matter what they feel during the time of the meal, because the systemic stress is going to be high enough to always have an issue in the gastrointestinal system. So anyways, eats on the go at school. Oh, I hate her already. We have also noted all of her intolerances, have been able to identify that red meat, soy, gluten, and dairy are all triggers for it. So basically anything good. However, if it seems like every week there's something else that bloats her, this week she became bloated by a granola bar. Okay. How can we start to manage this digestion? What tests should we pull considering food? Yeah. Okay. Best rule of thumb for everybody, stop making your clients take fucking food intolerance tests. It's like, it's not accurate. Those aren't real. They're not real things. Like they're gonna put your finger on a piece of paper and they're like, oh, you don't eat broccoli. And you're like, no shit. Broccoli bloats pretty much everybody. Good guess. You know, like it's not worth the time. It's not worth the money. So my plans are to admit a 5 or 7 hour protocol after the holidays. What is that?
It's essentially like, sorry if it's really loud in here. It's essentially just a protocol where you just like, it's 7 hours. So it's like remove, reset, replenish.
Okay. So like the food elimination type deal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All these kids with their crazy acronyms, I can't keep up anymore. Trains 4 days a week, no cardio. Cool. Okay. This is my thought process. It sounds like she needs some sort of detoxification in her gut. There is clearly something there that is toxic. There is clearly something there that is not allowing her body to digest anything. You could do a SIBO test here. I don't know if it's necessarily SIBO. It does sound like SIBO. You can do a SIBO protocol for somebody who doesn't have SIBO and like they're not going to die. But here's what I would do. There's a supplement. It's called GI Detox. And it's on simplynutrients.com. Simplynutrients.com, GI Detox. You guys can all use this for clients if they have really gnarly digestive issues. It's really good for cleaning out the gut, like really good for cleaning out the gut. We could do a biofilm resolve. Because if there's something going on with the biofilm in her gut, New Ethics has a good biofilm resolve supplement. If there's something going on with that biofilm and like the bacteria is growing in there, because bad bacteria loves biofilm, loves to grow in biofilm. So we could do that. What I do, because honestly, so for those of you guys who don't know, I have a client, her name's Meg, her and Jess are friends. the scenario here is really reminding me exactly of what Meg was like after her prep. Pretty much to the T. Now, I ran a SIBO protocol with her, didn't really work. I ran digestive enzymes, didn't really work. I did not run the detox stuff that I just said. That's kind of like a newer nugget that I've found over the last like couple of months. But what I did start doing, and this is something I honest to God have never not had this protocol work, which is doing one full fasting day a week for like 4 to 6 weeks. So basically, and this is like a really weird concept for people to wrap their head around, because it's like, wait a minute, you mean I'm not going to eat for an entire day? I'm going to die. Like, no, you're literally, no, you're not. You're going to be fine. You're a baby. But so what I'll do with this, I will line this up on a rest day. Obviously, I don't want somebody training on no food. They're literally gonna die. But so what I'll do is typically I line this up on Sundays. Sundays is usually the day most people are resting. They're not really doing shit. They're kind of like vegging around, watching TV. So it makes the most amount of sense. But it could be a Wednesday. It doesn't really matter. So what I'll do is I'll say your last meal is whenever you have dinner on Saturday. I personally like to get dinner done as soon as possible. So like I've done this protocol myself. So I actually try to finish everything by like 6. This is 100% my personal preference on this. They can finish it at 8 and be completely fine. I kind of start getting like egotistical with my fasts. I'm like, how long can I make it? But that's just me. So I would do last meal at like 6. But what we start and end our fast with is super important, right? Like if she's eating like, 2 Dunkin' Donuts right before her fast, like that's kind of not the last thing we want in her gut, right? I would keep her low GI or low FODMAP. I would keep her low FODMAP here. I wouldn't really go anything outside of the low FODMAP diet. I'd probably pick 5 to 6 foods that are low FODMAP. I'd have her eat that pretty much all week. What are her macros at?
I added that into the second comment. I don't know if it refreshed.
Oh,
it's at 220 carb, 50 fat, and 140 protein.
Okay, so I would probably lower carbs, because starch carbs, those can actually, like the bad bacteria can actually feed off those carbs. So I would actually lower carbs a bit anytime I'm trying to get rid of digestive issues from like what appears to be some sort of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So I'll drop back like 160 maybe. I think that's more than enough. You can put those calories back in via fats as long as she's not, loading up on nut butters and she's still sticking to the low GI. You're right, the low GI map or the low FODMAP, sorry. So I would end Saturday's meal super nutrient dense. I prefer like, a lean protein, fruits, veggies, whatever it is. Like I prefer super nutrient dense. And then basically she's going to go throughout her day the rest of the night, and then all day Sunday she's going to fast, and then she'll break her fast when she wakes up Monday morning and has breakfast. What's really important is on the day we're fasting to not overload water, because that's going to mess with stomach acid, and it's also potentially going to flush out electrolytes. If we don't have any electrolytes coming in and we're loading up 2.5 gallons of water to try to curb the hunger, you're putting yourself in some risk. So I usually cap it 1.25 gallons ish is where I like it to stay. I don't like it to go much higher than that. And this fasting period is so beneficial for the gut biome, the gut microbiota, the flora, everything in there. Like I kind of like to look at it as like a reef on the ocean floor, right? And like bear with me with this visual. Like you guys know, like if you see like the reefs and like there's constantly boats and all this shit and like people and gunk and oil and all this shit, and the reef slowly starts dying. And then they make it a preserve and they like protect that reef for an extended period of time. Everything starts growing back and it kind of gets back into the same flow of things. The reef is your gut. So That's just the way my brain has always visualized it like that. I don't know if it works for you guys, but it works for me. So I'm basically just trying to remove anything toxic going in so that the gut can kind of like re-find its balance. And then what's important with this is when we start eating again, I prefer to start lower carb and work my carbs up through the meals as the day goes on, because you are going to be pretty damn insulin sensitive from fasting for a day. Just try not to have like a lot of like initial bloat or water retention or things like that. So if we're doing 160 carb, I do like, 20 grams meal one, and then we can do like 40 grams meal two, maybe like 60 grams meal three, right? Kind of break it up like that. So I would just taper those initial carb meals up, just because again, we're not trying to like re-overload the gut with a ton of carbs right away. Right. So kind of just let it kind of ease into there. Other than that, making sure she's taking a solid probiotic. I'm sure she is. Yeah. So I would take a good probiotic, and then honestly, I would 100%, she should not be taking any caffeine during this period. None. No caffeine, no alcohol, no artificials. Like the only thing she's doing is low FODMAP foods. Pick 6 of them. Pick 6 or 7 of them. And then drinking water. That's it. You don't get coffee. You don't get that. Like, you've been miserable your whole life. You can last 4 weeks without some of these things so that we can, so we can fix it. Like, suck it up. Once that 4-week period is up, and by week 4, things have improved tremendously. 10 times out of 10. I have never not seen this work. Now, I can't say it always works. I have never seen it not work personally. And after that, I start adding back in 1 FODMAP a day, or I'm sorry, a week. One new FODMAP food a week. Because again, we're really trying to just here's this. Let's let the environment kind of adapt to it. Okay, cool. Here's this, right? Instead of here's all this, figure it out. You see what I'm saying? So that would be my thoughts, dude. I would probably do the fasting 1 day a week for probably a succession of 6 weeks. Yeah. After week 4, I'd start adding things back in, because here's the thing is, if we start adding things back in and she starts having the issues again, those fasting days still in there can kind of help the gut re-regulate as we start introducing new foods. Okay, cool. That's where I would start. And then we'll recheck in on her in about 4 weeks, but I think we're going to see a good return. I think we're going to see a really good return there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And that's actually it for our case studies. We only had 3 today. Does anybody have any questions on those, or comments, or other interpretations?
I have a question. This was in regards to the first client. So I think it was Brooke's client, about the woman who was a little bit older and like her progesterone was a little bit lower. So my question would be, after a woman goes through like menopause, would you still be trying to support that progesterone, or how would you approach that a little bit differently?
Personally, I'm always trying to support everything. And here's the thing is, like, menopause, they start getting like hot flashes, they can't sleep, right? So us utilizing some form of supplement, like a chasteberry supplement, to support progesterone, it's going to be a breeze. It's going to ease back all of like the uncomfortable symptoms of menopause a ton. So the goal is always what's going to make them feel the most comfortable, because like, I don't know about you, like, I don't want any of my girls over here having hot flashes and not being able to sleep and have night sweats and, everything in between. So if we can kind of support that, it's almost like, yeah, I guess it is kind of like that. It's kind of like an older gentleman utilizing TRT. Like, it's down-regulated anyways because you're getting old, but like, so who cares? You already had kids. It's like, no, man, like let's TRT some testosterone so you feel good and you feel younger longer. Like, I want my clients to feel amazing all the way until they're dead. If they're dead, I want to be the one that puts them there. I want to kill them in the gym. I don't want them to die from old age or feeling old or run down, because like, I think the most important thing to understand as coaches is like, people come to us to feel better. They want to take back control of their lives. They want to feel like they're in that leadership role. They want to stop feeling like everything is impossible. So like, I want to support everything I possibly can from an internal standpoint to make them feel like a superhuman. motivational speech of the day for you guys. Any other questions, interpretations, comments, anything in between? Come on, guys. It's a coaching collective. Put yourself out there. You need to build some confidence speaking as a coach. It's important.
I have another question.
Of course.
This is in regards to obese clients. So when a client is obese and they have a lot more body fat on their body, they're like burning that body fat for energy because they have it on them. So my question is, with obese clients, do you think that they, like anecdotally, I don't have a lot of obese clients, but I'm just asking, would they respond better to a higher fat diet because their body's already like adapt to burning that as energy versus carbs?
No, because there's a difference, and this is where keto people just sound like idiots because they go, oh, keto diet, you burn more fat as energy. And it's like, yes, because you're eating more fat. So dietary fat has now become your body's preference energy source. Dietary fat and body fat are not the same thing. So that's a really important, but that's like the lines that they blur. Like, no, look at the studies, dude. You're burning more fat. I'm like, no, literally no shit. Literally no shit. I could eat a stick of butter for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and get labs done. You're going to see me burning fat as an energy source. It doesn't mean eating butter burns fat. You know what I mean? So that was a little bit of tangent because for the keto things, I'm sorry. I got a little too aggressive with you, but no, I wouldn't go a higher fat approach. I prefer the balanced approach for obese people. I actually prefer a little bit more of the bodybuilder approach. So I usually would go higher carbs here. And something to keep in mind is that when you have more body fat on you, you actually can lose weight easier because you have more leptin. Leptin is actually stored in fat cells. That's a fun nugget. So the more fat cells an individual has, the more levels of leptin that they have. So this can actually mess with hunger cues as well for some people. I could actually see them have like significantly higher hunger because of the leptin levels. I've seen it. It's not always. But as those people start to lose body fat, their weight starts to plateau because leptin levels have tanked because they don't have as much body fat. So you're pretty much primed. I mean, again, obviously, if you have a ton of body fat, you're primed to lose body fat. But that's kind of like a little bit more deeper dive into the why, because leptin is stored in fat cells. So basically, to answer your question, no, I wouldn't do higher fat. What a tangent. Jesus, I'm so sorry.
I have another question. Back to the first client again.
Mallory, better late than never, dude.
What is the line that you would draw to in terms of like estrogen dominance, like the amount of estrogen dominance that they have, where you would put in estrocort versus just managing progesterone and supporting progesterone?
That's a pretty good question. It's going to depend on how high estrogen is. That's pretty much my thing. Like, because if we look at Brooke's client, like her estrogen wasn't that high. So do I think we need to take a supplement to bring estrogen back down to normal ranges? No. Now, if her progesterone's 0.2 and her estradiol is like, 150, 200, it's like, okay, we should probably pull that back down a little bit. So then I'll use estrocort for something like that. If you guys don't use estrocort, you can use DIM. That's great for, it's the same supplement. It's in estrocort. Honestly, just use estrocort. It's the best blend you're going to find for supplementing with healthy estrogen levels.
I have a question. Oh,
ooh, so many questions.
You can go ahead. You can go first because mine's not that, like, it's not a super important one. It's just about supplements.
Okay, so going back to obese clients, I couldn't put this in the case today because I just signed him today, but he's 520 pounds. So he has a lot of weight to lose.
Oh my God. I cannot wait to revisit this client in like 2 months. This is going to be so cool.
I'm excited. And like our call was really great. He's very excited to just feel better. Like you're just saying, right? Like, yeah, of course he has a weight loss goal, but he just wants to feel better. So I don't have any of his food logs yet. We start Monday. So before I even really think of protocol for him, I kind of just want to see what his normal is and what is realistic for him.
Did you watch the last call about maintenance products? Okay.
Yeah. So, but the thought of like telling him over 5,000 calories is also a lot of food, right? For someone who probably each day is not eating that.
Not even close.
He didn't get obese by not at some point being in a surplus, obviously. Yeah. So how would you tackle this after reviewing his food logs.
Here's the thing, dude. With somebody like this, I can almost guarantee you, same thing I said with John. I can just start this dude walking on the freaking treadmill and he's going to start losing weight. You know what I mean? I can wake up in the morning and bend down and touch your toes. He's probably going to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
So he used to do an active job. He was an auto mechanic, so he was moving things around, stuff like that. Okay. Now he's sedentary and he's doing school. And so he says he's walking on a treadmill 2 hours a day.
Okay.
So that's great. But that also is kind of like intimidating on my side because I don't want him to lose that bit of activity he has. But again, 2 hours a day is a really long time to just be walking.
Well, so, I mean, here's the thing is like just walking, like that's steps. Like how much, like, you guys do 10K steps. How long does it take you if you do all your walks together? It's probably more than 2 hours of walking to hit 10K steps a day, you know? So he's not even doing 10K steps like that. Like to me, like that's like a bare minimum function for a human being for optimal. Like he literally, I'm pretty sure if that guy didn't do that, he'd be dead. You know what I mean? Because like, he's like not even trying to be funny, but like, it's kind of funny. I'm not trying to be funny by saying that, but it made me laugh. I'm sorry.
No, I get you.
Reddit, here we go. But like that's like crucial for him to have enough circulation and blood flow for him to even be alive being that big. You know what I mean? Like you see these things on like My 600-Pound Life where they literally have like forklifts to get these people out because they can't move. So the fact that he's already doing that, like I'm super excited for him. I think he's going to do amazing with you. I would make sure he's super hydrated. I would make sure he's eating a ton of protein. Because like I said, you can get so much out of protein. His body is just not used to having anything it needs to function normally.
And that was kind of what I was saying on our call today was that, you know, I'm not going to start with a huge macro goal, calories and getting adequate protein and just the basic things to make him feel better. So, okay.
Dude, I'm literally
36.
Okay. I'm so excited to follow this. I'm literally so excited to follow this. It's going to be such a cool transformation to see. But like when it comes to clients like this, like I said, like, if you remember the call where I was talking about my client who was drinking freaking sodas in bed and we just started switching her to bottles of water and she dropped like 10 pounds in a week. So it's like when it comes to somebody who's this big, we don't need perfection. We just need to start dialing in one variable at a time. And then his body's going to start responding so fast. Really. I mean, I would love for us to see this dude in the 300s by the end of next year. I think that would be so, you said he's 520.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could shave off 130 pounds in the year with this guy. And that would be, dude, that would be amazing.
And he's 520 with great lab work. Like he just went to the doctor
really
a month ago. He got a clean bill of health. The only thing they said he was on the edge of having high blood pressure, but other than that, and so that's also where he was like, I know that it doesn't make sense to be such a healthy human, and I have to, you know, take advantage of getting healthier. Like that's his big thing. A lot of people in his family have died from diabetes very young. And he's like, I have no markers to be there yet, but I don't want to be.
So he's 520. His blood glucose is in range too.
Now I haven't looked at his blood work specifically. He just said that his doctors had no concerns.
I'm gonna question him a little. He's like, no, everything's good. It's all red. Right. He's probably colorblind. No, looks good. Yeah, it's all good. If you can get his lab work and send it to me, I'd love to look at it, and then I can give you some pointers and stuff, and then we can revisit it on a future call like this. Wow, that's super cool. That's super cool. Yeah. So I would just start with getting his activity up, get him training, get him hydrated, eat some better food choices, things like that. He's probably gonna start progressing so damn fast, dude.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. And then Brooke, you had a question, right?
Yeah, I was just curious, what's the difference between the Thyro Boost and then the Thyro Essentials on New Ethics?
So essentially, like the best way to describe this is like Thyro Boost is like we need all of it. Thyro Essentials is like my thyroid's functioning fine. I just want to keep it supported.
Okay.
That's how I would do it. Like I'm the type of person, I want all the support that I can get. Yeah. So like my thyroid's impeccable. I take Thyro Boost every day.
Okay.
Any other questions, dudes? Cool. That's fine with me. Well, everybody, thank you for being on the call. Oh, wait, let me let me sign off and stop recording here. So
All right.
catch you guys in the next one.
Nick.